here are the 24 teams that will be going to Afcon 2025. The qualifiers have officially ended and we had some absolutely beautiful moments, but now it's time to look at which teams will be getting flights to Morocco. But of course, before we do that, you know the drill. Let me know down below which team you support, and of course, if you end up enjoying the video, do end up liking and subscribing. It helps the channel a lot. But jumping into Group A of the qualifiers, Cameroon's topping the group. I cannot believe it.
Oh my god! Wow!
Look, Cameroons have always impressed me over the last few years. They've always been serious underdogs, but to win a group, especially to top the likes of Tunisia, Madagascar and Gambia, I'm so incredibly proud of them. Look, I will state this, I do think Tunisia, considering the amount of talent in their team, I've always found them, I don't want to say considerably underwhelming, but they've never quite reached the heights that I always feel like they should reach.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
They've never dominated to the level where I truly think that they could do so. Obviously, a few years ago, they won the Current Cup in that competition, but Cameroon's winning this group, I have to give them full credit. And not just that, to do it undefeated. I mean, they could be the underdogs in Morocco in 2025. Obviously, them and Tunisia are the two teams to make it through to the competition. I do think that they probably rightfully so should have done that. I am looking at Gambia though, a team that normally has potential to surprise, especially on the attacking front. But looking at these two teams, once again, they deserve to go to Morocco. They've both been very, very impressive. And in Group B, there should be no surprise that Morocco and Gabon are the two teams to make it through. Of course, Morocco being the hosts of the competition, they were always going to end up going.
King in the castle, king in the castle.
But they did so in some fashion, the only team to get a perfect record in qualifiers. 6 wins in 6 games, they were absolutely lethal, picking up a 7-0 win versus Lesotho towards the end, Brahim Diaz picking up a hat-trick. I'm telling you, he is going to be the biggest name in African football. Him swapping international allegiances from Spanish to Moroccan, best decision of his entire career. But of course, it's not just about Brahim Diaz, it's about this whole national team. The only ever national team or African team to make it to the semi-final of a World Cup, and I really thought that they would have a major dip since then. I guess in the last Afcon they kind of did, but they seem to be picking up, and this is a national team that is so rich when it comes to talent. And once again, 6 wins in 6 games, it kind of shows that is why they are the best team in Africa. They are absolutely phenomenal, and they just don't seem to be slowing down. They just seem to be picking up. Obviously, looking at Gabon as well, ever since Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang rejoined this national team, once again, they've just stepped it up a whole new level.
Aubameyang!
This is a national team that always has the ability to impress, and they should be able to deliver at the competition. And in Group C, of course, Egypt topped this group. They're always going to be favorites to top this group, and I have to say I've been quite impressed with how they've adapted throughout this tournament. They haven't showed a major reliability on Mohamed Salah, which is fantastic for them. He actually only participated in 3 of their qualifier games. Yes, he did score 2 in those 3, so it does show, of course, he is the Egyptian king.
I am your leader, yes I am your leader.
But at the end of the day, they showed that they have so much squad depth at the moment that they really are growing as a national team, and hopefully they can deliver like the old days. Of course, the most successful team in Afcon history, winning 7 titles. But yeah, as I said, I've been quite impressed with them. Another undefeated team in this group stage. Of course, Botswana making it as well.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this situation.
As a Southern African, I am tremendously proud of them. I really personally didn't give them a chance, especially seeing the likes of Mauritania. They've delivered in the past. Of course, Cape Verde, I thought that they would be able to qualify and that they would be a major underdog in the competition. But the fact that they were dead last in this group, I was obviously wrong about them. I'm a bit surprised. But obviously Botswana, very impressed with you. And I think on a physicality level, it'll be interesting to see what they can deliver on. And for Group D, of course, no surprise that the Super Eagles are flying high. Of course, they did pick up 1 loss. That was versus Rwanda, a 2-1 in the later stages of the qualifiers. They would be disappointed with that, as they kind of did spoil their celebrations a tiny bit. But of course, no surprise that this is a national team that is so rich when it comes to quality, when it comes to talent, and they were the obvious favorites to make it this stage. Obviously, they were the finalists in the previous Afcon.
We're on the verge of greatness. We were this close.
kind of hoping to deliver even further in this time around. Could Nigeria finally win another Afcon? It is very possible with the amount of talent in their team. Defensively, they were very impressive last time around, and if they can kind of gel well together, they could go all the way. But in terms of qualifying, no surprise here, and Benin as well. I'm very impressed with them. Although Rwanda have looked sneaky here and there in World Cup qualifiers and Afcon qualifiers, I think this group once again, it is justifiable. Now with Group E, of course, Algeria, another team that has gone undefeated. Of course, they did do that last time around as well, and they were one of those other big nations that did flop in the actual tournament.
It's part of the game, innit?
But looking at Algeria, 5 wins and 1 draw in 6 games, you can't really say too much bad about them. Of course, Equatorial Guinea, another staple in African football at the moment. They've done some very decent jobs in the last few competitions, and this wasn't an easy group because both Togo and Liberia, yes, they aren't massive African football nations at the moment, but both of them have the ability to surprise here and there. But at the end of the day, once again, the 2 better teams did qualify. And for Group F, I cannot believe it, Ghana are dead last in this group.
What?
This has to be the biggest shock in the Afcon qualifiers. Of course, looking at the talent in their squad, the amount of managers they've had over the last few years, they just don't seem to be gelling and they just can't get anything right. For this Ghana national team to get 0 wins in the qualifiers, it's absolutely shocking. But you know what, you have to give credit to the likes of Sudan and Angola. Both teams really have impressed throughout, both of them showing a sense of resilience throughout the qualifiers, especially with Angola. I think that they could really impress us in the official tournament. But as I said, the big talking point of this group has to be Ghana. I've got no idea what's gone so south for this team. They've genuinely got so much talent. They've genuinely got the ability to do it. I mean, they've got Champions League players throughout this entire squad. They've got Premier League players throughout the squad. So to end dead last in this group, it's unacceptable.
Getting himself into further trouble.
For Group G, Zambia and Ivory Coast are the 2 teams to make it through. Ivory Coast being the current Afcon champions, they would be upset that they haven't topped this group, but Zambia has always kind of been the bogey team for Ivory Coast. They've always been very, very vicious and lethal when it comes to the attack, and they've always had the ability to take away from Ivory Coast. They did it in the last Afcon qualifiers. Of course, we saw Ivory Coast ended up winning the tournament as a whole, so it actually comes to the official tournament. You can do what you want on paper, but on the day, once again, we'll have to see what both do at the tournament. But once again, no surprise that these 2 teams did make it. For Group H, I can't believe it, we will not be seeing Gorasi at the tournament. Of course, Guinea have been knocked out to Tanzania, who once again have been poor in recent qualifiers, but of course they've done the job to make it here. I am very impressed with them. On the attacking front, they never quite deliver, but they did enough this time around to qualify for the tournament. And of course, the DRC picking up 4th place in the most recent Afcon, there's really no surprise that they have made it through here. And in Group I, obviously Mali qualifying for the tournament. As we know, they had some very decent performances last time around. There is no surprise that they've made it here. And I'm very happy with Mozambique, once again, another Southern African nation.
Afternoon, my octoroon. Come on, bring it in there. Tuck that.
I guess Guinea-Bissau, in terms of their physicality, it is a bit of a surprise that they did get bullied a bit here. But once again, at the end of the day, Mozambique have shown top performances. They've definitely shown defensive resilience, and that is what carried them through. And in Group J, obviously Cameroon going undefeated as well, and they should have done so because this was a very doable group for them. Once again, I'm not going to talk too much about them. We know the quality in this Cameroon national team.
Oh yeah, there's an honor right there.
And they should have done what they did end up doing. Obviously, in terms of the other teams, I'm very impressed with Zimbabwe. Once again, a Southern African nation. Kenya, as we know, they did have that ban for a year or 2, so they're still coming back. Namibia had some impressive performances, including a draw versus Cameroon, but once again, the better teams did make it. And in our second last group, Group K, obviously South Africa qualified, topping their group undefeated. I ended up going to their game versus South Sudan, that 3-0 win, and can I say, I have never been more proud as a South African fan in terms of our attacking ability, our defensive resilience, which is a word I've thrown out a lot. It is majorly important when it comes to African football. I am so proud and impressed of the South African national team.
It's been 84 years.
Obviously picking up third place in the most recent Afcon, we are seriously on the rise under Hugo Bruce. This is a national team to be seriously proud of, and whether we can deliver at Afcon 2025, I really hope so. But of course, and other than that, I am a bit surprised that Congo didn't deliver at a slightly higher level. I know they aren't quite a top dog in African football at the moment, but I did expect better. But obviously Uganda, once again, they did very, very well to qualify. But of course, it is time to jump into our last qualifier group with Senegal, Burkina Faso, Burundi, and Malawi. Once again, the two better teams that end up topping this group. I don't think anyone gave anyone else a chance except for Senegal and Burkina Faso.
Maybe someone's don't like me, but because maybe I'm too good.
And rightfully so. Obviously, Senegal, they've still got so much talent in their team. A lot of players from that Afcon winning team a few years ago. So it really should come as no surprise. And I'm glad they seem to be bouncing back after the last Afcon. And in terms of Burkina Faso, as we know, still so much hidden talent. Especially since Tapsoba's really been going levels at Bayer Leverkusen over the last few years. At the end of the day, this group was very much expected. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, those are the 24 teams that have qualified for Afcon 2025. There is a lot of talent and a lot of talent missing out on the competition with Guinea, Ghana, and probably a few other nations. But of course, let me know down below, who are you backing for the tournament and who do you think will win Afcon 2025? Who will lift the trophy in Morocco? I do think that it could be the hosts themselves, but once again, it's African football. There are surprises absolutely everywhere. But of course, guys, as I said, like and subscribe if you did enjoy this video and if you want to see more African football content. Once again, I am down for it at the moment. But guys, this has been Finn, FYNN. Thank you for watching. Cheers.